Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Professor Ksenia Chmutin. I'm Director of the IS, and welcome to the International House. As always, it's wonderful to see so many of you here in person today. There are some people joining us online. Hello to those of you online. The International House at Loughborough University is a place where we're having critical conversations about topics that are not really discussed anywhere else at the university, and that's where kind of researchers can get together and really discuss and debate, and just remind ourselves what it is we are all here for. So it's wonderful to host so many of you today. And we're absolutely delighted to host our second residential fellow of this academic year, Dr. Bibiana Serpa. And Bibiana's last penultimate day, right, before you leave. So we saved the presentation right to the end. And I'm sure it'll be fascinating. Bibiana is with us. She's coming from Brazil. She's Brazilian designer, researcher, and activist. And her work really resonates with quite a lot of social issues, feminist issues that we have been discussing in many of the other seminars here at the IAS. And her research brings together participatory design, social movement theory, feminist praxis, but also visual communication, all of this for social change. Also, for those of you in the room, sorry, people online, you get wonderful souvenirs from Bibiana. I don't think our room has ever been so decorated, so thank you for that. And I've been promised that the mystery of the souvenirs will be kind of unpacked during the seminar. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. The presentation is recorded. For those of you online, please post your questions. We are monitoring the chat. There will be an opportunity for those in the room to ask the questions as well. And we are not recording Q&A, so it's just the presentation that will be released on our YouTube channel and as a podcast. So Q&A can be quite free, and then of course we will continue conversation over lunch. Bibiana, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ksenia. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's such a pleasure to be with you and see some familiar faces that were in the workshop last week. Hopefully, we'll not have anything on fire today. So I'm Bibiana, and today we are talking about visual storytelling for reproductive justice and what we can learn from the feminist struggle, especially from Latin America, but I'll just go worldwide. So for starters, I would like you to know where I'm from, because I think it resonates a lot with what I have to talk to you. I'm Brazilian, and Brazil is huge, so it makes lots of different where are you from in Brazil. I was born here in a very small town near Argentina, and then I moved around a little bit, and right now I'm based in Rio. So I have this background of moving around a lot in Brazil and engaging with different groups and engaging with different realities. And right now I'm not based in any university. I finished my doctorate in 2023. And right now I'm working as a coordinator in this organization that is called Nem Presa Nem Morta, neither dead or in prison or dead. Sorry, I just think. And there we work with reproductive justice, doing communication and advocacy to move forward the rights of people who can get pregnant in Brazil. Here are some examples of things we do. We mobilize parades and political mobilization. We produce information on the networks. We try to engage with different struggles. This is as material on Palestine and reproductive justice that we did. We also, here we are with the Minister of Women in Brazil. We also do that kind of advocacy towards laws and things like that. And we engage in manifestation and arts on the streets as well. I'm also part of the Design and Oppression Network, which is the site that I engage with research in the university and with the practice of design. We have also, we are in different places in Brazil, so we have different kind of approaches in the north, in the southeast, and in the south. We developed also a course, an online course called of Designs of the Oppressed, which is focused on advancing knowledge on Brazilian theory for participation in social movements, especially Paulo Freire, Augusto Boal, and others that connect with those theory. We also have some, on YouTube, we have some Theater of the Oppressed plays. This is a scene of a play we did online, which is also something that we engage with the community to propose another kind of debate on design, on participation, using art as our mode of acting. I was an actress in this play, so you can laugh at me if you go there. So I would like to construct a little conceptual background for us to develop our conversation. So Aziz Chandri, which was grassroots intellectual, he was a leader of working force. He wrote that social movements are a space of knowledge production, and he produced a lot on how social movements learn and how they engage with that learning while in action, while doing politics. And that's a huge base of this ongoing research. And also he tells us that the way social movements archive and tell their own stories are part of ongoing resistance, because the story needs to be told a lot for it to stick. And also social movements, they need those things to be alive, because we have the movements are in movement, and people go and engage the movement in a new way. So it's a very big part of my research, and a very dear author that I work with. Also, from the social movement studies, we have that activism movements use those stories to mobilize participants, to enlist supporters, and also to influence the decision makers. This is something that is said in the Narrative in Social Movements, in the Handbook of Social Movements by Francesca Poletta and Beth Gardner, who are studies. They have studies that work with narratives, the stories, and how they work with social movements advancing political rights. So in this presentation and in my research, I'm more focused on these stories and how they play visually, because we know that normally we use a lot of verbal stories to talk about narratives, but my background is in visual design, so I was very curious about how the visuals play a part in telling those stories, and how powerful they are, if they are powerful at all. So today I want to talk to you about what can you learn from these visualities and the stories they tell that are created in the feminist struggles for reproductive rights, because it's the field that I'm working with right now. I don't know if everybody's aware of what reproductive justice means, but it's important for us to go along with me. So I'm here. Is the right to have a child, the right to not have a child if you don't want to, and also the right to parent a child in safe and healthy environments. And that said a lot, because it expands a little bit the concept that we were used to work with. This is a concept that was created by the Black feminist movement in US in the 90s. Another conceptual framework that is very important to me is Paulo Freire's dialectic of denunciation and announcement. I don't know if you are aware of Paulo Freire, but he is a Brazilian intellectual who worked primarily on education, on literacy methods, but he expanded a lot of this knowledge, and he proposed a pedagogy of the oppressed, which is his best known publication book. But his method and his way of thinking about society and the oppressed and the oppressor, they resonate with different kind of areas. In the design and oppression network, we work a lot with his theory. We are called design and oppression because of the pedagogy of the oppressed. We talk about designs of the oppressed because of Paulo Freire as well. So he has this thinking about this dialectic, which is the denunciation and the announcement. The denunciation is the identifying, analyzing, and exposing the conditions of the oppression that occurs. And at the same time, it connects to designing and building a new reality through announcement. So one thing is related to the other. One thing cannot happen without the other. And he has this saying, the denunciation of the dehumanization implicit in the pedagogy of the oppressed could not be made without the announcement of its overcoming. So once you denounce, you need to announce what you want to put in that place. Also by Paulo Freire, we have the praxis of hope. He has this beautiful sayings, and if you have any chance to watch an interview by him on YouTube, I highly recommend it because it's very powerful. And he talks about the practice of hope against this immobility, the fatalism, and also the common sense that says it always has been like this. We don't have anything to do about it. And it's something that social movements sometimes face because they dream of something big, they dream of big changes. And in society, we face also this pragmatic view that we don't have much to do. We don't have the power to do that. And he talks about this praxis of hope, yeah, we can, but we need to build it with organized and critical action. It's not something that comes from nowhere. And he has this say that hope is necessary, not the hope that waits, but rather the hope that acts. We're not hoping for something to happen. We are hoping that we can do something about that. So now I'll start with the studies that I want to share with you. For a long time, the coat hanger was a feminist symbol of the reproductive justice struggle. I don't know if everybody's aware of that. It was most common in France and in US during the 70s, when those places didn't have the right for abortion. And yes, it's what you think, that women would have the coat hanger insert in themselves to provoke abortion. Yeah. This was a symbol that was used to provoke that feeling of I can believe it, or how desperate someone needs to be to do that with her own body. And that's a fact. It's not something that was made up by feminists. People would do that because they were desperate. And that's a powerful sign. It's a powerful visual to address that issue. Here's a image that I caught in a in a video from the 70s. You can see the hanger here. That's why it's not so good, the quality of the image. Right now in 2022, we see the hanger again. Recently, the Supreme Court there revoked the right for abortion. So right now, different states has different laws towards that, and 17 states have totally banned the right to abortion. So they are facing different kinds of struggle there as well. And the hanger came back as a symbol almost all the time with this kind of words like never again, we're not going back, or something like that. You can see that the hanger is a visuality that provokes this surprise, or as I said, I cannot believe it. Or sometimes if you are far away from the struggle, you don't imagine that people would do something like that. But when you go back to Paulo Freire's, as I was telling, the dialectic of denouncement and announcement, this is a symbol of denounce. We are saying that it happens, we are facing the problem, we are pointing to the problem. The problem is that if we don't have the right for abortion, people will seek any other means to do that, and that can relate to infertility, to ending your life, to different kind of things that can happen once you use this insecure method. So this is a photo from 2023. We also have in France the use of hangers. I would like to point to the use of my body, my choice, because also the words, they travel around. This is a very insignia for the rights to abortion movement. And my body, my choice is something that is used all around the world. And here is a very strong image, using also as a denounce, is denouncing also, but is a celebration, is a celebration parade, because France put it in their constitution, the right for abortion. So it's not a law anymore that can be revoked. It's in the constitution. So they would have a very harder time to revoke it from now on. But also you can see that they bring back the hanger. They bring back that denounce. I'm saying it right? Denounce, denouncement, denounce. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, but everybody's getting okay. So okay. And also never again, that we saw in the United States, also is presenting itself in France, also in this movement of celebrating that they got into the Constitution. And here also another denouncement that it's 7 women die of insecurity abortion practices every hour in the world, but it's not updated. Actually, it's over 10. Yeah. So the recent study of the international the health organization is over 10 women die every hour from unsafe abortion around the world. Of course, different regions have higher or lower numbers. So it's a very strong symbol, but as we said, it restricts to the nouns part. And we see that here you can see adios, which is in Spanish, is goodbye in Spanish. And this was an announcement in the New York Times in 2020 when Argentina legalized abortion. So they used a symbol that was connected to the reality of New York, because the hanger was used primarily in the United States, to communicate to the United States that Argentina has legalized abortion at that point in 2020. But Argentina, in its context, has another symbol, which is the green scarf. The green scarf has a very nice story, and I'm gonna share that with you. And it has a lot to do with Argentina historian, the feminist movement in Argentina, actually. I don't know if many of you are aware of this photo of these women and what they represent. These are the madres and abuelas de la Plaza de Mayo, mothers and grandmothers from the May Plaza in English. They are a movement of women who had their children and grandchildren murdered or vanished from Earth by the military dictatorship in Argentina. And here it says, those missing, may they bring back alive the imprisoned or missing. So they are hanging, and here's the name of the collective. They started the organization in the 70s during the high point of the dictatorship over there. Argentinian militatorship was one of the most cruel in Latin America. During the 60s and the 70s, most of the South American countries went through dictatorship. They were helped with a lot of money by the government of the US to prevent advances of communism in South America. Is a very huge part of our history and a very alive one, because we are facing some big troubles there nowadays, because we don't want to look at that story as deep and as profoundly as we should. And sorry, do you see that they use a scarf on their head? Do you see that it's a white scarf? That scarf actually is a diaper. The story says that they were organizing a manifestation, and they knew it was a religious thing that happens in Argentina every year, and they want to manifestate about their children and grandchildren in that religious parade. But there are lots of people that go to that religious parade. And how we'll find each other, they said. Oh, let's get some diapers from our children and grandchildren that everybody has at home, and we're gonna put in our head, and we locate ourselves within the mass of people. And the story they tell is that happens that way. And they went to this religious manifestation with this scarf around their heads, and they never put it down. It was something that was so related to the movement that it became a symbol of their struggle, of their fight, and they did different things about that. Here's a photo. We are not able to see as much, but they have the names of their children and their grandchildren embodied and embroidered. Thank you. Embroidered in the scarves, and it would be a very huge symbol for the movement. The madres, the mothers, they used to go on circle rounds in the front of the main building in Buenos Aires, which is the capital of Argentina. They would go every Thursday, going around in the plaza. That's why they are named the mothers and grandmothers of the plaza, the May Plaza, because they would go round and round to demonstrate their struggle there. And people started getting together and putting scarves around their heads and joining the fight, even though they weren't mothers or weren't grandmothers, but they would show support and they would show solidarity through the use of this visual and material scarf. This visuality, this artifact that was related to the struggle of the mothers. Here's a picture of the rounds. The mothers in the 70s, they were a very huge antagonist for the military in Argentina. They suffered some attacks. 3 mothers were killed. They were kidnapped and never heard of again. So they are assumed dead because of the struggle they were putting in that time. And now we come back to the green scarf. You all have a green scarf. This green scarf is the biggest symbol of the feminist struggle for reproductive justice in Argentina and now in Latin America as a whole. And it was created in the beginning of the 20s, 23, 22, not like, they're not even certain about that. But it was created in an encounter, in an event that Argentinian feminists, they hold every year. The feminist movement in Argentina is very well organized. They hold these annual encounters, they debate the way they are going into politics, what are the strategies they want to put effort on. And since the beginning of the 20s, they decided to put a lot of effort in reproductive justice. It was something that was argued and discussed within the feminist movement. And they decided they needed something to communicate to society and to communicate among themselves that they were fighting for it, to gain people's support. And I must say, Latin America is mostly Catholic. And that means that we have a very conservative society in most places. So it's very difficult to talk about abortion and reproductive rights because we have this religious thing going on that makes it a taboo theme. We can't even talk about it with our friends because we fear of being judged. So that's a reality within Brazil and within Latin America as a whole. So this scarf is something that could communicate something that was not okay for us to talk about. So it has this kind of in the surface kind of talk. And the Argentinians, they hold this campaign for secure abortion, and which the main insignia was sex education to decide, contraceptives not to get pregnant, and safe abortion not to die. Because they were not talking about just getting the abortion, they were talking about a whole system that needed to be taken care of for people to have reproductive justice. It was not just about abortion. This is Nora Cortines. She is one of the founding members of the Madres, the mothers. And here they are in the celebration of the approvement of the law for legal abortion in 2020. And I think this connects a lot with something that the green scarf and the black scarf, the white scarf bring us, that is how the feminist struggle, they connect, they reevaluate themselves, and they engage in different strategies. Because if you think, both of these movements, they were fighting for reproductive justice. Because the mothers, they were denying the right to raise their children in a safe and good environment. And now the Argentina movement is also fighting for the right to choose if you want to have a child, if you don't want to have a child, and fighting for a good environment to those children to be raised. So it's very emblematic. And the scarf, they were something they were constructive in the dialogue between this historical movement of women in the new movement of women that was being born in Argentina. And you can see here that there is a white scarf in the green scarf, because they pay the respect to the movement that came before and what it means. And now another rearrangement of the feminist movements, the branch of rue. The rue is a medicinal plant in the Afro-Brazilian culture. We use the rue to protect ourselves and to push back bad people, bad vibes. We say in our places, the conservatives. Push back the conservatives. And in Brazil, since 2018, we are using the rue as a symbol for reproductive justice movement. In 2018, it happens the Festival pela Vida das Mulheres, Festival for the Life of Women. This was a festival debating reproductive justice, because there was a thing being judged in the Supreme Court, something that could change the reality of Brazilian people. And we did a different kind of activities. You can see the rule being used as an accessory. It was very engaging, this new symbol. So it has been happening since the 2018. So here we have a sign in a demonstration. Abortion is public health, with the rule that one would not think to relate to public health before, but now people are relating to public health. If you're not aware, but the rue is also an abortive plant. if you take its tea, but you don't try that at home because it can be toxic if you don't know how to do it. So it's a very well-known knowledge among especially the interior communities, people who have this plant-based medicine. So it also has this connection. We also have different kind of demonstrations using who as a sign, as a positionality of what we are talking about. And we have these big scarves that that the Argentina movement lended to us and to all of Latin America, because right now is very well known in Latin America and everybody uses the green scarf, paying our respect to the Argentina movement, but making the visualities travel around. Those are the scarves you have. They are being used in demonstrations and as accessories, as anything you might want to use. So I did all this travel with you around times, around places, to also ask, why have social movement and design studies, which is my background, ignore these artifacts and what they teach? Because as we can see, they can teach us a lot. They are domestic, they are anonymous, they are collective, and they are contextual. All things that face the patriarchy. The patriarchy doesn't like the domestic. The patriarchy doesn't like the anonymous. They like to be the center of things. They don't like the collective. They like the one. And there's contextuality. There is danger also for patriarchy. So the main point that I want to stress is that even though in social movements we are studying social justice, we are studying social practices, we also face those oppressions that arrange society, and patriarchy is among those. So this research also tries to bring to light those anonymous objects, the domestic uses, those things that make women struggle, and how they can be resignified in those studies. The visual and material artifacts from the social movements, they carry embedded knowledge. They are not random objects. They are not random visualities. They carry these knowledges, they carry stories that challenge the dominant narrative. Because when you think about abortion, you think about blood, you think about suffering, you think about being alone, being left out. We are trying to construct narratives of engagement, of solidarity, of collectiveness, of being able to take care of yourself and your friend. We are engaging in different stories through these objects, through these narratives. Visual practices are effective in diffusing these new ideas, empowering these movements for social change across these culturally diverse broad borders. You can see how the scarf have traveled. Right now they are here. They have been seen in Africa as well, in demonstrations there. So they have this power of communicating when words can't. And feminist materiality and visuality, they carry these political, pedagogical practices of feminist movements. And they construct these new imaginaries, connecting these struggles, and also teaching us about resistance throughout history. And finally, they indicate this possibility of hope that Paulo Freire was talking about. En la lucha está viva en la calle. The the struggle is alive on the street. You can catch me in Bibiana Gmail or in the social networks in this nickname. Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate you listening and paying attention to this Latin America story. Thank you.